Hello everyone and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Illuminated Education System. Today we'll be looking at O-Levels Chemistry and its syllabus for the year 2023 to 2025. And this is Mohammed bin Faisal, your instructor for O-Levels Chemistry and Computer Science at the IES. So let's begin. So the first chapter of our syllabus is States of Matter, in which we learn some basic information such as solids, liquids, and gases, which we have already covered before in previous classes. Then we will look at the concept of diffusion and that how it basically the particles and how different ways such as the size of the particle and the rate of diffusion, the temperature, and things like that affect diffusion. And then we have chapter 2, atoms, elements, and compounds. So we'll be looking at the difference between elements, compounds, and mixtures. We will have the atomic structure and periodic table, and how the atoms are divided in the periodic table. Then we have the isotopes, which are simply different versions of the same element. We'll be looking at that in detail. We have ions and ionic bonds. We have simple molecules and covalent bonds. So these are different types of bonds. We'll be learning about the giant covalent structures. We'll be learning at how different elements combine and how their types affect the way they bond. So we also have metallic bonds, which are between metals. And then we have the stoichiometry, which is basically a chapter based upon the calculation in chemistry. So we'll be learning some basic formulae of stoichiometry. Then we have relative masses, the mole and Avogadro's constant. These are basically things we have to look in detail, and we'll be doing that in the upcoming lectures, which will be uploaded on the channel soon. We have electrochemistry. We'll be learning the process of electrolysis and how we forcefully make two different compounds react, and how we use electrolysis in applications. Then we have the hydrogen and oxygen fuel cells, how they work and how they provide us electricity. Then we have chemical energetics as chapter number 5. We have exothermic and endothermic reactions, in which we have energy profile diagrams, Boy energy calculations, and we will link that with the rate of reaction in a chemical equilibrium. So basically in this chapter, we'll be learning at how energies in chemicals, the thermal energy and the internal energy of the chemicals affect the way they react with each other. And then we have chapter 6, chemical reactions itself, in which we'll be learning some physical and chemical changes in different substances. We have the rate of reactions, which will be connecting with chemical energetics as mentioned before. We have reversible reaction and equilibrium, and we'll be looking at those concepts in detail as well. And finally, we have redox reactions, which are basically an interesting type of reaction. We'll be looking at that as well. Then we have chapter 7, acids, bases, and salts, in which we'll be learning the characteristics of acids and bases, how they're different from each other, and their basic properties. We have oxides, the different types of oxides, and such as acidic oxide and basic oxides. We'll be learning about that as well. Then we have the preparation of salts, how different types of salts are made, and what are their properties as well, like solubility. And then we have chapter 8, the periodic table. So we have arrangement of elements in periodic table, group 1 alkali metal properties, and group 7. We'll basically be looking at different divisions of the elements in the periodic table and how they basically work. So we also have transition elements, and we'll be looking at that, and the noble gases. For chapter 9, metals, we'll be looking at a lot of stuff such as the properties of metals, which you already know in the previous classes. Then we will come into the uses of metals and how we use different types and how. We have alloys and their properties, and we have reactivity series, which we'll be learning using a very interesting and exciting method. We will be looking in the upcoming lectures. And then we have the corrosion of metals, how we can prevent that. And then we have the extraction of metals. For chapter 10, chemistry of the environment, we'll be looking at whatever we studied, how we apply that to the actual environment and surroundings. And we'll be looking at the water, how we treat water, how the water cycle works. And then we have the fertilizers and the air quality and climate. The basically stuff you also learn in geography mostly, so we'll be looking at that as well. Then we have organic chemistry, in which we'll be learning the formulae, functional groups, and terms. And then we have naming organic compounds, how we name different types of organic compounds. We have fuels, such as alcohols, as well as alkanes and alkenes, hydrocarbons, how the crude oil is basically broken down into its fractions, and how we receive fuel for literally everything that we use nowadays, which is also just depleting, and we'll be looking at the concept of renewable energy as well. Then we have alkenes, which are different functional groups, alcohols, carboxylic acids, and we'll also be learning briefly about the formation and properties of esters, although it's not mentioned in the syllabus properly, but we'll be looking at that. and we have polymers. For experimental chemistry, which is basically the part of the ATP exam or the alternative for practical, and also for the P3, which is practical itself, we have experimental design, acid-base titrations, chromatography, separation and purification, identification of ions and gases, in which you'll be learning cation tests, anion tests, gas tests, and flame tests. And these are basically the stuff you do in the lab, which is quite exciting as well. So we'll be looking at these in the end. So basically, this was a syllabus. One more note I'd like to say that even though this is the structure of how the Cambridge has divided the entire syllabus and the order of that, we'll be, just choosing the easiest topics first from each of the different chapters. So we'll not be learning in exactly the order we just looked at. We'll be learning in a, quite good strategy that will help us, build our foundation first and then move on to the advanced stuff. So we'll be having detailed lectures on each topic soon, which will be uploaded on the channel. We'll have strategies to attempt the examination, which we'll be looking at. And then we have exclusive workshops before each examination series, whether it be October, November, or May, June. And then we have topic questions from the past papers as well. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned for upcoming videos. Thank you.